Let's get salty!
Everyone, Zeddy here again today with a brand new video, and we are almost at the exact 2-week point since the mini set launch, which is typically when we get the next balance patch. And well, if you take a look at H's replay right now, Hunter is above and beyond everything, and Warrior is, well, above and beyond below everything. So we're gonna go over today my predictions of what I think the next nerfs and or buffs will be. And as a friendly reminder, if you enjoy our content here and if you feel like I've earned your subscription on our road to 60K, please drop a subscription on the channel, hit us up with a like, it helps out the channel a ton. And if we take a look at like the top Diamond through Legend, we take a look at the Diamond through Legend, the decks that are doing really well, that are, I mean, you just gotta look at Beast Hunter. It's a clear outlier with a lot of other stuff in the middling: Warlock, Mage, more Hunter, Shaman, even a Warrior and Paladin deck. There's a lot of good stuff. It's just all buried below Hunter. And when you go to the very bottom, well, you got Control Warrior, you got Quest Warlock, which please stay down there, some other stuff, but let's go over what I think will get nerfed. And I will say right away, I don't think there's going to be any wild nerfs. If you can't stand Big Priest or Pirate Rogue or even Shaman or whatever it is in wild, it's probably staying the same unless it gets, you know, indirectly nerfed by any of the standard changes. So what do I think will get changed? Well, I do think Hunter will get hit, and I don't believe there'll be a massive balance change here. I don't think we need mass nerfs. I think Hunter needs to get dialed down. Maybe some other buffs help out. I do think some neutrals maybe we'll talk about, but I don't think we need a mass change. I don't think it needs to be like the last balance patch, which I believe had like almost 30 cards, but who knows? Last time they did like almost 30 cards, I didn't expect it to be like that much either. So they could go crazy again, buff a bunch of stuff, nerf a bunch of stuff. But for me, Harpoon Gun is the card that really stands out, although the win rate on this isn't like a clear outlier. It's the feels that this card creates, where you Harpoon Gun and you get a Hydrolodon for 4 mana. You get a Mountain Bear for 4 mana. It just comes out ridiculously early. It could just win the game on the spot. That feels pretty darn awful, and this card originally was really good when it only reduced the cost by 2. I think it could go back to that. I think it's still a really good card. We'll see tons of play still in Hunter in both standard and wild. It'll just be a little bit more fair, and the scams won't be quite as drastic because this weapon is just really good. It's really solid, and I feel like at 2 it's still extremely good. Hell, it was proven. It was proven to be good at 2. It was the best card in Beast Hunter when it got nerfed back in the day. So I feel like a revert to this card is pretty darn safe. A revert to the Pet Collector is also a possibility. This was a 3/3 originally and was buffed to a 4/4. Does it need that much stats anymore? Probably not. I don't think it'll get nerfed, but it's something to consider as an option. Same could go for Rarran Saber. I believe it was a 3/3 originally and was buffed to 4/3. Again, I wouldn't revert this one, but it's something to consider that all these buffs had led to this situation, but I felt like a Rarran Saber just always felt bad as a 3/3, and I would probably, again, leave it as a 4/3. The card I would change, however, is Wild Spirits. This card is just, it's just too good. For 3 mana, you're getting 2 different wild seeds. So you can get a 3/1 with Rush right away, a 2/5 with Taunt in 1 turn, and a 5/4 beast that gives you basically a War Axe in 2 turns. It's just incredibly powerful. The only issue I have is I think the Wild Seed package is really cool. I don't dislike facing it. I just feel like you bump it to 4 mana, you probably kill the card. So this is the one where if it does get nerfed, I would rather just nerf Harpoon Gun, probably just the 1 Hunter card to see how it goes, because Hunter is above and beyond, but not by a ton. It wouldn't take too much to dial back, and hitting both Gun and Spirits might be a bit much, but at the end of the day, maybe you just take off the make your Wild Seeds awaken 1 turn sooner, where you just summon 2 Wild Seeds for 3. Again, maybe that kills it too. I don't know. This one's tough, but I'm gonna go with the prediction. It does go to 4. However, I just kind of don't want to see that happen. I don't know why. I just don't mind the Wild Seed package, but this card, the package, all that, is just too good. And a reminder, they've already nerfed it once with the weapon being a 4-2, and it's still this darn good. Looking through all the other classes and what cards you could nerf, I honestly wouldn't nerf any more class cards. Imp Warlock is probably the closest I would take a look at. Some of the early game might be a little too good. If you look at like the meta, Imp Warlock feels like it'll just be the next deck to take over where Hunter is added. We've already seen a nerf to Vile Library. We haven't seen a nerf to Catastrophe, but overall, it probably wouldn't hit Imp Warlock yet, but it is something to keep an eye on. And if you were, you might want to like up the infuse on Rafam or make Rafam a little bit worse. It really feels like when Rafam comes down, he just kind of wins. So that could be a card to consider. But again, I probably wouldn't nerf Warlock yet. Looking at the neutrals, we talked about this yesterday, but I still would not nerf Prince Renathal, but it's certainly consideration considering it's in over half the standard decks right now. You could consider putting this to 35 health. But then again, as I argued yesterday, I would hate if that happened, to be honest with you. One of the other most popular neutrals though is Theotar the Mad Duke. You guys know how I feel about this card, that it's infuriating. I proposed a change on Twitter that got a ridiculous amount of likes, and it would kill the card. I'm just gonna outright say it. It would kill the card, where you just eliminate the discover part of the card. It's just random. It's literally the Mad Duke. You swap two cards, you might get the good stuff, you probably won't, making it too inconsistent to run. But to me, the card is just too powerful at 4 mana, and if they do nerf it, and I think they might, they'll probably make it 5 mana. I think they would just make it less flexible if they're going to change it. I don't think they go the Zeddy route and kill it, but honestly, it drives me that crazy that I wouldn't mind to see it, but I really doubt that would happen. So I know there's a lot of pro Theotar people out there. Hell, there's a good shot this doesn't get nerfed at all, by the way, but you will be happy that I don't think they're even going to consider my idea. And the other most popular neutral card out there that is almost in 50% of decks, Sire Denathrius, definitely has a shot to get nerfed, and if it would, I feel like they would just take off the initial 5 damage. I don't think they would double the infuse requirement. I feel like it would just lose the initial damage output, but I feel like this card, I swear it's going to get nerfed right as the next expansion comes out to help promote that one. I feel like it will get nerfed at some point. It's just not quite yet, but it's one that I will throw out there. And if we're talking about buffs, I know this is random as hell, but I'm going to throw it out there because for the longest time, Hex has been 4 mana. It used to be 3, and we got cards in the game like Life Sentence, which is outside of Resurrect Pool issues, is strictly better than Hex. And I just think, why not? It's time. It shouldn't be a Life Sentence for Hex to be 4 mana. So I'm going for a bold, pointless prediction. Hex will be buffed to 3 mana to give Shaman a little bit of help. And in the same vein, Warrior really needs help. And why is Fire War Axe in 2022 still 3 mana? I mean, we just talked about Harpoon Gun, which has an insane effect for the same damage output. There's so many weapons in the game that are a 3 mana 3/2 and have a good effect. I mean, Warrior included, Ajaran Trident has a bonus to it. I want to see it change. I want to see War Axe go to 2. You can tell I've been playing Classic a little bit, where I want these cards reversed. But honestly, give Warrior of 2 mana War Axe, it probably wouldn't even be good enough anymore. It'd be pretty cool if Warrior had Fiery Wind Axe onto, again, a more realistic buff that I feel like Warrior could get, because Control Warrior is so bad, and I know I do not like this card because it creates mass mana cheat and just feels bad situations. I would buff from the depths, but not to its original form. I would put this to 3 mana. I would make it 3 mana, but I would change it so that would reduce the cost of the bottom 5 cards in your deck by 2, making the mana cheat not as drastic. It comes down earlier, but it's not as much. It makes it more in line with Harpoon Gun. I guess the other argument you can make is maybe the bottom 3 cards, something like that. I feel like this card could be reverted, but it just needs to be reverted in a way where it's not its original version, because that was just obscenely gross, and I feel like it would still be obscenely gross, even though cards like Nelly have been nerfed since, and I don't see that being reverted, as well as Mr. Smite, 2 of the cards that were kind of abused with that, especially in like Charge Warrior. But I could see from the depths, definitely, because I know they've talked about it, I know they've thought about it, that this is one of the cards that is most likely to get buffed to try and help Control Warrior out. I just feel like they gotta try to meet it halfway, you know, make it 3, but not nearly as gross. There you go. Those are my predictions, as well as just some general observations. I threw a bunch of cards in there that you can at least consider. We might see, and hell, it could be announced later today, making this video pointless in just a few hours, but regardless, if it's announced, I'll let you guys know as soon as it's announced what balance changes are coming and when they're coming. And well, stay tuned for that. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Have a great day and stay salty, my friends.